Baha Mar officials reportedly made some major plans without government approval.
I'm glad that it didn't close.
The sports minister preparing for a meeting that could reap huge benefits for the country.
With the president of the IAAF, which is the largest athletic organization in the world.
Urban renewal and police officials say they're already seeing the benefits of Urban Renewal 2.0, plus BlackBerry lovers, BTC launches a new phone just for you.
BlackBerry is always a hot seller for us, and mainly it's because it's an affordable price.
I'm Nikia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Joining us this Saturday evening, it seems Baha Mar jumped the gun when it posted signs announcing the permanent closure of Skyline Drive on July 15th. Work officials say due process was not followed and Skyline Drive will remain open until the closure has been properly approved. Vonik Toot reports.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Works, Colin Hicks, told NB12 that Baha Mar must first write a letter to the Ministry of Works justifying the need to permanently close Skyline Drive. Additionally, he says, the permanent road closure requires cabinet approval. And that's not all. According to the Baha Mar communication tabled in the House of Assembly in February 2008, the government can authorize the closure of a portion of Skyline Drive, subject to resolution of Parliament. So for now, Higgs says that road will remain open. Motorists say they couldn't be happier.
Yes, because if they close it there, then for me it means that I have to drive half an hour. Yeah, if they close it there, it's a big inconvenience for me, big time.
It had been a sort of inconvenience because the travel out east is all kind of roads where they have block off, you see.
Always convenient for me to get up out west, so I'm glad that it didn't close.
So were you bothered when you heard that it would have been closing on the 15th?
Well, I know they have to do what they have to do.
However, Jason Babb says he understands the need to eventually close Skyline Drive.
Well, I know they have to do what they have to do, and it's going to take some, inconvenience for us roaders.
Baha Mar and Works officials met on Wednesday to discuss the Skyline Drive closure. Hicks says the two sides must agree on a mutually agreed date. Meantime, Baha Mar's Senior Vice President of Administration and External Affairs, Robert Sand, says he will have an update on the closure soon. He says the road closure should have little impact on traffic in the area. Baha Mar has spent $120 million on road works thus far. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonik Toot.
Just last month, it was revealed that the Bahamas placed an official bid to host the International Association of Athletic Federations World Relay Championships in 2014. Well, sports officials are going a step further, and they plan to meet IAAF officials in London to discuss their bid. Our Jasmine Bonamy has more in this next report.
The London Games will be more than just about watching those historic events for Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Dr. Daniel Johnson. In fact, he says he'll meet with IAAF officials to talk about hosting the World Relays here at the National Stadium. Last month, the Bahamas became the first country to place a bid for the relays. According to Minister of Sports Dr. Daniel Johnson, the bid was tendered following a two-day fact-finding visit from senior IAAF officials in early June. During the trip, executives met with local stakeholders to discuss the Bahamas bid and inspect potential venues, including hotels and the new national stadium. Johnson recently revealed that while he is in London for the Olympic Games, he plans to use his second week to again meet with IAAF officials.
On the second week, we have a very special meeting with the president of the IAAF, which is the largest athletic organization in the world, and that is President Iaaf. And he will be hosting us to have talks about a possible event at our national stadium that everyone is really looking forward to, and that will be the World Relays, where the entire world will send their best teams to the Bahamas in 2014 and 2015 to compete against the Bahamas and the Caribbean.
When the IAAF Council meets during the London Olympic Games, they are expected to make a final decision on which country will host the event. Johnson says he plans to learn a little more about what it takes to host the relays, as well as make a final push to have the Games held in the Bahamas.
That is a great privilege for us to meet with the president of the IAAF. We will have Pauline Davis there, who is I think one of the only female sitting members of the World Council. We wish to give her special mention, and she will be there with us during these talks.
Meantime, he says if held here, the relays will be a boost to the sports tourism industry, bringing the Bahamas thousands of people from across the world.
It's a return on investment. It's great exposure for a country like us, the Bahamas. We are a tourism destination, so we get exposure that we could not possibly pay for if we win the bid. We'll have about 3,000 people visiting us, which will, pack our hotels at a slow time of the season. Of course, there are other spin-offs: taxi cab drivers, food, entertainment, clothing, etc., etc., etc.
Johnson adds that he expects the stadium to be certified by the time the relays are held. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Critics of former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham have often accused him of being a dictator, insisting that he never listened to ministers of his cabinet and always did things his own way. Well, as he prepares to leave frontline politics, the outgoing Member of Parliament for North Abaco recently addressed that dictator label. He says nothing could be further from the truth.
What they could say about me was that I ran a disciplined ship, that every Tom, Dick and Harry didn't have his own policy, that everybody didn't have to be able to announce he's going to do this, that the Deputy Prime Minister goes to Grand Bahama, he announces that they're going to take the building that the government bought for the Public Hospitals Authority for the expansion of the Rand Hospital. He says they're going to make it a home for the homeless. The Prime Minister goes down a couple of days later, saying, no, they changed their mind about that, they're going to make it administrative offices. Leslie Miller makes an announcement as to what he's going to do, and then the minister comes behind, he says something different. The Prime Minister makes a comment about gambling. His parliamentary secretary, on the same day, same newscast, makes something different. And so it goes on and on and on.
Earlier this week, Ingraham reminded his critics that it was his administration that opened the airwaves, allowing many Bahamians to own radio stations instead of forcing listeners to get all of their information from the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Those who know me know better, but that's the charge they put on me. They call me many things. But you've never had so much, for a dictator to have so much freedom. For you to be working where you're working, you and all of you, etc., etc. That's not the actual dictator.
Ingraham handed in his resignation letter to the Speaker of the House of Assembly on Thursday. However, he won't officially give up his seat in Parliament until August 31st. Well, former Minister of National Security Tommy Turnquest is the latest person to weigh in on the police force's failure to produce crime statistics for the first half of the year. Turnquest told our news team that there is no justifiable reason to withhold the information, especially when police are reporting that crime has decreased. Turnquest said that Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade is mandated to provide empirical evidence and not to make statements without that evidence. He added that when he was minister, he was prepared to release statistics whether they were good or bad. However, Minister of State for National Security Keith Bell said the commissioner has sole discretion in releasing those statistics. The commissioner has come under fire this past week for failing to release the crime stats. He recently told our news team that he has them, but is not quite prepared to release them and couldn't say when he will. Well, it's the weekend and you're watching NB12.